So let's give them a few minutes to join us.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the Biff Pod people to come Biff Pod with us.
I'm taking my shoes off. They're not comfy.
Anybody?
No, it doesn't show me for a little while.
Okay. You can refresh the screen and it will show you.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay. If there's anybody there, hi. Let us know you're there.
I'll sit here and play on my phone until then.
Yeah, that sounds
We'll
great.
all just look like millennials.
Exactly. I am millennial.
So am I.
Yeah.
Are you?
I am not.
Anyone under 38?
You sure?
Is that really
That's
the
the
cutoff?
cutoff.
Oh my god.
No, they keep changing their mind on that.
Yeah.
It's way younger than 38, last I was told.
Because we're already in a different generation now.
Yeah, there's the whole kids who have iPhones by the time they're 5.
Yeah.
Alright, we got some people in the chat.
Hi, everybody.
Hey guys.
22 to 37, so I'm not a millennial.
Oh,
Because
37.
I'm 39.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. I'm really tired. I might actually not be 39. It's possible that is not correct. I said it and then it sounded weird. My birthday was only a few weeks ago, so maybe I'm confused. Hi, everybody.
Hey, guys.
I'm Colin.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Nick.
We are in the middle of Charity Hammer.
Yeah, we
It
are.
is, we have just passed the 20. Actually, we passed the 30-hour mark.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So we have another 18 hours of this. We're having a great time. We've raised over $5,000. Actually, I'll get an update while we're sitting here. I haven't had an update in a while. A couple hours ago, we were at $5,000. It is slowing down. I expect that. A lot of people have already donated. We do have a lot more raffle stuff to give out, so we'll be doing that. I have played 5 games, I think.
Oh, that's nothing.
How many games have you played, Nick?
I don't know anymore. It's not even Sunday, and I don't even. It is Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, it's midnight. Why not? Let me count. I just played an RTT today. I played a game last
I
night,
played 3 games
and
today.
I played 2 games before the stream started. No, I played 2 games last night, and then I played 2 games. I'm at 8.
Okay.
I think John Lennon currently holds the record with 10 right now.
Yeah, he's played 10 games.
He's played 10 games,
a
yeah.
monster.
I've only done 2.
He's a monster.
He's just a monster.
So we're at $5,200.
Nice.
So we've gained $200 during the last stream. That's super great. For those that don't know us, Mitch and I are from the Best in Faction podcast that's hosting this. We do that podcast about every other week, typically, except when it's Christmas time and the charity event.
Holidays.
It is a strictly competitive podcast. I went to 15 events last year. You went to like 12.
A lot, yeah.
And we talk about our events and going and trying to improve. Our co-host on the show is Chuck, who's sitting over there reading the stream.
Hey, everybody.
Chuck's been playing the game for about 20 years and been going to tournaments for 5, 6, 7? How long have you been going to tournaments?
10?
10? Okay. I stand
Maybe?
corrected.
I don't know.
Yeah, around there.
If you don't know this gentleman over here to our left, Nick Nanavati from the Knights Pro. Nick's one of the best players in the world. I like to say that because it makes me feel special for meeting two people from you. Yeah, by the way, we're really tired and it's late. This is going to be, if you want punchy, weird humor, you've come to the right place.
Oh, yeah.
Nick is a professional 40K coach, which sounds really prestigious.
I like saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, so the purpose of this thing is we're not going to play a game. Huzzah! Okay, so many games. We're not going to play a game. Instead, we're going to tell stories about going to tournaments because people asked for that, actually. They said, I bet Nick has a lot of funny stories about going to tournaments.
I do.
We have one funny one from BAO that we can share, for sure. And I actually think my Harvester, I have a story about my very first major tournament that's kind of funny. So we have a number of stuff. What?
Oh, we just got a first question for you all.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
It's actually for Nick, sorry.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like you all.
How do you get Vanguard bets to run well?
Oh, well, this isn't a tournament question. You give them... Well, you really don't, but if you want to...
You chase them.
I would run them with Goleman and make them Ultramarines and Deep Strike them and try to use some rerollable 8-inch charge stuff with either the spell or... I think there's another way to do it. Well, probably the spell is the easiest way. And then, assuming you make this rerollable 8-inch charge, because like Orc Life, you could do like double chain swords and get like 1 billion attacks and fight twice with full rerolls, and that could actually like obliterate screens. Give them a bunch of storm shields that cost like nothing nowadays, and they're tough. I guess this is if you want to run them. I wouldn't run them.
Yeah.
I played against a guy who had 10 with jump packs with the 2 chainswords each.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Kind of cool, question mark. That's what that is.
It was kind of cool. I played him later that tournament. It was still kind of cool.
Yeah.
How much does that unit cost, I
It's
wonder?
about 200.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the end of the world.
It's not.
So,
But
that's
it's also going to fail that charge like half the time, and then you're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
So
you
to
just
rip-
fed your opponent a unit.
Yeah.
so just to let everybody know, this is also an AMA. So that question's great. Ask us as many questions as you want. They can be about 40K, about list design, about tournaments. They can be about us.
AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. I learned that today.
Yeah.
Today?
Nick's new to the internet.
Yeah.
He's kind of young. We established that they're both millennials, and I'm not. That's what we established right as a podcast.
I still don't believe he's a millennial. He doesn't have the phone glued to himself.
Mitch?
Yeah. Is the phone in his hand right now?
No.
Not a millennial.
We're literally, we're like making content right now. It's not phone time, Nick.
That's because you're not a millennial, Colin. Always is phone time.
All right. The iPhone had an update recently where it starts telling you now how much screen time you average each week.
Oh my god.
That is not a feature I need.
I don't want to know.
You can uninstall that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, last week you averaged 6 hours a day, and I'm like, I went to work on those days. That's interesting. So, okay. Nick, did you have stories you were going to tell? You want to tell us a story?
Yeah, so let me think of one. I mean, I have a million. And I feel like if I had a prompt, it'd be better because I don't even know where to start.
Well, how old were you when you started going to tournaments?
Like GTs, I was like 14.
Okay.
There's actually a really R-rated, questionable story from my first tournament ever, but I don't know if that's appropriate.
Actually, we're on the Canhammer TV channel, and I think it's mature.
Yeah.
Right.
So go right ahead. Maybe I'll have to edit it out if we're going to post this as a podcast.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
So once upon a time, Nick was like, I don't know, 13 or 14. Is that my first ever GT? It's like Grand Tournament Baltimore. Back when that was.
I like that it's R-rated and he's 14. This is going to be the most inappropriate tournament.
Depending on how this is R-rated, you might have to just stop.
It doesn't actually have a bad ending. It just gets real close to one. So I was there with my dad because like I was 14 and he like did work in the hotel the entire time and I like was playing around with like Warhammer stuff and he didn't care. So I like went to my game round one. I didn't know anyone there. I was 14. I didn't know anyone. I played some guy. He kicked my ass because I was not good at 40K when I was 14. I know, it's shocking. And then we had a lunch break, so I guess he's just being a gentleman or whatever, because he was like, do you want to get lunch? Like, maybe just inviting me, like, you know, GTs to get lunch with people.
How old was this gentleman?
He's like 40s, 30s.
Uh-huh.
He's a full-grown adult.
Okay.
So,
Wants to have lunch with a 14-year-old.
yeah. So, I'm like, sure, because, like, what else am I going to do? And then, this GT is in the hotel. There's a little convention center in the hotel. So he's like, first I have to go to my room real quick, because I got to get my wallet. So I'm like, okay, let's go to the room. So, follow this guy to his room, and I assume he's just getting his wallet, because, like, what else would you do if you say you're going to get your wallet? So, imagine, like, a room. You guys have been in hotels. There's, like, the 2 beds, and then there's the dresser across them against the wall with the TV on the thing. So he's, like, rummaging through his dressers, looking for his wallet, and I'm, like, just standing there awkwardly. And he bumps into me. I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but, like, it totally had to be. So he bumps into me, and I just fall onto the bed, because that's the way he shoved me. It wasn't, like, a painful bump. It was just a nudge. So I fell onto the bed. And then the dude just pauses and stares at me. And I'm so terrified right now. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know if this is an accident. I don't know if I'm going to get raped. I don't know what's going on. So he, like, just, like, looks at me. And I'm like, I'm not gay. And I just done, like, this little 14-year-old high school voice. And I was like, I'm also, like, a kid. And he was like, I don't know. What? He just paused awkwardly. Jumped into the other bed. Because there's 2 beds in this room. Jumped into the other bed, got under the covers. It didn't look like he was doing anything, because, like, there wasn't, like, a motion under the blanket. But,
why is
like,
he getting under the covers? That's not an appropriate response to what you've
totally
done.
got into the covers for whatever reason.
It's not an appropriate response.
I'm sitting there, I don't know what the hell's going on. And then he starts lecturing me how it's long to mislead people. And, like, I don't really know what's happening.
Wow.
I'm just,
Okay, wow.
I'm super just confused and awkward about this. And he's just lecturing me for, like, 10 minutes. And I'm just like, can we get food? And then he's like, yeah. And then he bought me a sandwich. The end. First GT ever.
That's fantastic.
Oh, man.
So I have a similar, not 40K story that's funny, that I'll share. So I sell software for a living, and one of my first trade shows I was at, it was probably like 23, 24, at the booth This guy said he was going to buy the software. We'd been meeting for several days at this point, and he said to bring the paperwork. He'd sign the paperwork later that day, and I emailed him later, and he says, "Hey, bring it by my room. I'll sign the paperwork." And I'm like 23, and he's like 55. And I go by the room, and he opens the door, and he's in just silk boxers, no shirt, no pants, and he's got champagne. Like, you know how like in a hotel they'll bring it to you in what is that, what that's called, in the silver champagne bucket with like the ice and the glasses, and it's on a little tray. Like he's ordered it for me to come visit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, here's the paperwork, and he's like, I think we should celebrate our business partnership with some champagne. And I said, I have to go someplace. Because I was so uncomfortable. Couldn't be like coherent. I'm like, I want to go place. And I just left. And he actually felt, I think he was so embarrassed the next day when he saw me, he gave me the paperwork signed. And they're still a customer. And it's been like 10 years.
Well, I don't have a story to contribute to this guy.
But it's fantastic that he's like...
Has anyone commented on other stories?
Let me go ahead and some of these questions in the chat.
That's better.
Let's hear.
I'm gonna get a drink because it's PG-13.
Yeah, actually.
Beer
sounds like a better
This is
solution.
my first alcoholic beverage of the weekend. I want everyone to know that.
First big question from the chat.
Dark or light?
Really important.
Okay.
Everybody wants to know, did you really lose to Alex earlier before the stream started?
Swear to God, lost to him by 1 point.
1 point.
I was there.
I was playing my older
Witnessed it.
work list, not the one I use today, but otherwise, yes.
What, do you guys think that Nick doesn't lose?
I do lose often.
I just
Really
surprised
practice
probably that he
these-
lost to Alex. I mean,
I just played Alex.
I know. Just
And,
Alex is pretty good.
yeah.
It may not have seemed that good in our game because
We don't have bad players here.
have an opportunity to show off his skill, but he's good. Ain't no shame in losing to Alex.
We don't have bad players here.
Losing is learning.
Losing is learning.
Yeah.
I play a lot looser in practice games, and I try a little experimental stuff. And I'd like to learn in my practice games because they are practice games.
Yeah. Well, and to go with that, you want to try things you wouldn't normally risk in a game with stakes.
Yeah,
because that's how you find new ways to do stuff. The game I played against Mark yesterday, I tried an entirely new concept for ways to lock down vehicles, specifically super heavies. Totally off the wall. It was fun. It was cool. It's an interesting idea. I'm going to play with it more. But you don't get that knowledge if you don't take those risks, and you can't take those risks if you're concerned about winning.
Cheers.
Yeah.
all right, we got a couple sort of easy ones. We got any thoughts on orc buggies? Any of you?
Oh.
The models are cool.
And they make me sad. And here's why they make me sad.
There was one of them.
Because the models are so great. And they're all bad.
There's one I actually kind of liked.
Is it the one that teleports?
No.
Because people
That
have
one-
played
that
lists
one's
with
cool.
all of those.
There's one that has,
What?
I think,
It makes me sad that it's
two
not the
D3
one.
rockets or 3D3 rockets. I think it's the 4 rocket shots somehow. And then
That's
it's
the
got
teleporting one.
This is not the teleporting one. It's got 2 twin big shoes. That's 12 shots. And it's got a decent stat. It's got 9 wounds, so it's kind of tough. It's not tough, but it's kind of tough. And it's 100 points. I was this isn't a bad stat line. If you compare it to 2 Death Copters, it is better than 2 Death Copters in every way except for lack of fly.
The big one though, lack of fly.
Yeah.
For
and
vehicle.
it doesn't have flank. But alright, so I'm not playing it. But
It's still a vehicle.
it's something. It's not nothing.
It's the best of the ones
It's the
you wouldn't
best
play.
of those ones.
I'm kind of a fan of the Whiz Bang Dakajet.
I know all of their names, but I don't know. I can't associate any of the rules with their names, but I love their names.
Yeah, I have nothing to contribute on this other than the models are neat.
You have
The
not
models
much
are
to
super
say
neat.
there.
Discuss. Come on.
Well, the problem is I haven't played Orcs yet. I haven't had a chance.
You never had a weird rapey story when you were younger, and you
No.
never played orcs. So
You want near-death
Why are you-
experiences?
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Yeah,
What do
you
you
want near-death experiences and head wounds. I'm your guy.
Anybody want Gus to be part of the show?
Hey, Gus.
I don't think
Hey,
anybody
Gus,
gets
oh,
to
you want
choose
to
but
be-
Gus.
This
Hey,
is my
Gus.
lad. His name is Gus. If you've watched our streams, you've heard him yell.
He's infamous.
So here's another one where I think it's pretty interesting, the competition. We've seen the 2 Gene Stealer cult lists that we've all been playing against today.
Yeah,
What do you guys think of as which of the 2 of those lists is the better one?
I like the vulture one
Yeah,
better,
Yeah.
but
The
I
vulture.
don't like.
You
I don't think it's clear cut. I don't like plants, but I don't think it's clear cut because Alex's list has a lot of better play, I guess, against like not guard or like not a castler or
Oh,
not.
that's not
knights.
happening right now, buddy.
Because mortars can just hide and pick off infantry from a million miles away all game long and get points that way. Whereas knights will just kill 2 vultures a turn, and that's not good.
Yeah.
I took that list that John Lennon's playing to an RTT last weekend and won the RTT. I played against Drukari Flyer Spam. Then I played against Double Grotesque, Ravagers, and some Craft Roll No Yunari. And then I played against Chuck's Orcs.
My buddy Dallas.
And I thought I found the list to be surprisingly powerful.
Yeah, it is a very good list. When I played that, I was much more impressed. It's not just like... It's got all the NID stuff going on and also fire support. So, like, instead of taking the classic fire support of, like, Hive Guard and Hive Tyrants, you're taking 3 Vultures, which is just a different kind of medium, but the same roles being filled. So it's more powerful, obviously, against infantry and a lot less powerful against tanks, obviously. But aberrants exist now.
Well, so what I would say, I like the Vulture one because it's closer to the playstyle I prefer. So take that into, like, you have to take into consideration. It doesn't matter how good a list is if it doesn't suit you. If it doesn't play, if you don't feel good playing it, I mean, like, you can practice and get better, but like if it's just not something you enjoy, you're not going to be incentivized to improve.
You say that, but here I am, balls deep on an orc army right now.
Well, that's different. That's your job.
This is my job. It's true.
I like the Vulture better because...
Gusta is just
I like the Vultures better because it's fewer drops and less things to pick up.
It's not fewer drops. He's got 15 drops. Well, I mean, it's fewer than
Way
Alex's
less than-
version.
yeah.
I like Dallas's version the best, because, which is like it's the same. Like I said, it's a different medium, but he's got 3 mortar teams, a Wyvern, and a Basilisk in that weird formation that now exists. So he's got the ability to double shoot a Wyvern against like orcs or something that rerolls hits and rerolls wounds, or the ability to shoot a Norse cover Basilisk against Dark Reapers from a million inches away they can't interact with. So it's more effective than mortars against most targets. And it's not as anti-infantry as Vultures, obviously, but it's like a double shooting Wyvern doesn't suck with rerolls hits, rerolls wounds.
Mm-hmm. The downside of the Vulture list is that you have to buy Forge Rolled Vultures and then assemble them. And I just assembled one and it was terrible.
We're burying the lead on that list, though. The Brood Lord was the amazing part of the list.
That's some secret tech right there. I gotta
Yeah.
give it to John for that one.
Yeah.
I know it's been a debate, and he is the one who swayed me on my opinion.
Yeah, I think he has pretty solidly proven that the Brood Lord is 100%.
A lot of jank going on with that guy. He actually is the reason I didn't have jump in that game. Because he assassinated both my jump guys, and then it was really hard to actually win that game without jump.
I wonder if that's why John told me to watch it because I tried.
There's a million reasons you should watch that game. That is not the only reason.
It was a barn burner.
I made fun of the Brood Lord.
That was one of the better games I played from 40K, or better games 40K I played in like, I don't know, a long time.
Yeah. One of the things we were talking about earlier, I was talking about with Sean Morgan, is what's funny is how much better Vultures are with Tyranids than they are with Guard. And they aren't bad with Guard.
Well, they just synergize with it.
They're not bad, but it's like Guard doesn't have Gene Stealers moving 40 inches and charging things.
Yeah.
Guard doesn't have
Same with
Aberrants
mortars.
dropping in and doing 700
18 mortars
attacks.
though in a guard army, it's just like who gives a shit. But if you put 18 mortars in an army, that's a problem. It's weird.
It's a situation.
Guns get a lot better in assault armies than they do in just gun lines.
So both Alex and John are in the room now. They're both thrilled that we're talking
I
about
know.
this.
It's like giddy little schoolgirls right now.
I'm glad to be a pain in the ass.
That leads really well into another question here. Somebody's asking how many Vultures should they get. I suspect that answer is different based on whether they're doing Gene Stealer Cult or
I think it's 0 or 3. I don't really see
It's
why.
3 if you play Guard. If it's 0 if you play Gene Stealer Cult, because I think you should wait for the book at this point.
Yeah, you gotta wait for the book.
Don't go around buying vultures for the next little
They're expensive. They're really expensive. And I don't support buying the not official GW ones. They're really expensive and they're stupid to put together.
I could see the point to 2 if you're playing like a guard detachment.
I was gonna say for guard, actually 2 is what you want against
Yeah,
orcs.
because you don't want to
usually.
waste a detachment on a flyer thing.
Oh yeah, put it in a battalion.
Yeah,
That makes more sense.
that's-
Not only that, but you can take them Elysian, so you have deep strike options, and you can use them to make it so that orcs have very few options for where they're going to jump and charge in. So you can kind of control where they're going to be able to come at your army.
That's why you kill the vulture on his turn, so you can jump in that
Exactly.
It's not just orcs though. Remember that vultures are very mad about Cadia.
Yeah.
Vultures are disappointed that Cadia happened, and they like to re-roll everything against Chaos.
Perhaps you could show them some sort of artifact from what happened there.
Well, you're gonna have to do that.
I would mine as well.
Well, but that doesn't work on them.
Oh yeah.
No, because they're not. They can't be Cadian.
Oh, it has to be suited with Katie.
Let's talk more about stories and
Yeah.
less about vultures.
All right. Give us another story.
I want something else.
Do we have any questions?
Oh, we got lots of questions.
Okay,
We can
let's do a
take
question.
Let's
stories.
say some questions.
All
Take
right.
some questions.
Talk to us a little bit about how we feel at Fire Prisms and Shadow Weavers now that they've gone down.
I like Shadow Weavers. I don't think they're great, but they fill a role that Eldar cares about, and they're better for that role than three dudes with the Tempest Launcher. And they're 48-inch range, which is nice. And
You
I
can't bark us.
don't like Fire Prisms at all. I've tried them a couple times. I really hate Fire Prisms.
I have
I
not
got
seen them
nothing
be
more to-
successful.
I've got nothing more to
honestly.
add to that.
I don't
just
like tanks.
Hate Fire Prisms.
Like, just in general. Like, I own, like, behind the camera over there, I own, like, 12 Lehman Russes and, like, a lot of other stuff, and I want to play with all of it, and in the current meta, it's just so disappointing. That's how I feel.
Yeah. So
I feel like they just, like, all...
Even
like,
without the castle and just picking up tanks whenever you want. When Fire Prisms could have been good, I still did not like Fire Prisms, but I don't think they're effective.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, there's merit to don't run tanks because castles are this. But beside that, the tank with Fire Prism also isn't good at what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Go over there.
What else?
Right. Good question. Do you think orcs are more dangerous in close combat or in shooting?
Combat still.
Yeah.
I mean, they have shooting support, like a Knit Army, the 12 build has shooting support. You have to respect it, and it will kill you. But it's still an assault.
well, it goes back to what he was saying earlier that shooting becomes so much better in an assault army because you have multiple threat options.
The way I try to describe it to somebody I'm trying to teach orcs to a little bit is if I have this shooting unit, you can't just stay over there on your side.
Yeah.
I can outrange you and I can force you to start playing the board with me, and then I'm better at that mid board with you.
Yeah. You force them to play your game.
Yeah. For instance, the tank busters
It's
don't
hard
play
to
that
make
same
an
role
all
'cause
assault
it's much
army
more
work.
trained.
It's hard to make an all gun army work because they only do one thing. When you mix the two, it's really good. It's like an assault unit in a shooting army is really good because it's a counter charge, whereas an assault unit in an assault army, that's just more of what they're doing.
It's why Bulgrins came into effect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or Ogren bodyguards, as I prefer now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's important for guard players. Not having your counter charge be able to be shot, big deal.
Bogren don't die to guns. They don't die to lose. I'll tell you that.
They don't die to looters, but there are other guns in the game.
They're
I
not.
actually think one of the strengths of the orc list right now is everyone spends all the time talking about Ludas. And now that I've played them a lot, I'm much more afraid of the boys.
Yeah, my Ludas don't actually.
The Ludas are still
I
a
can't say the
concern.
Ludas don't do anything. The Ludas
No, they're-
typically have one turn where they do a ton, but like they're there. They scare people a lot more than they actually kill stuff. And there's a lot of value to scaring people because not just like scaring people. People are making mistakes because there's Ludas on the table. It's like you have to respect them. It changes how you play.
Yep.
That's where the real value comes in.
Yeah, it warps.
It changes the dynamic of the game.
It warps the meta, and not in a negative way. Every effective unit warps the meta, and how much is kind of how you gauge when a unit is actually having a negative effect. I don't think necessarily Ludas are at the point of having a negative effect. I think if they aren't able to combine squads, they're fine. The Castellan, as Alex is holding up over there, is warps the meta immensely because it just removes vehicles from the game. It just makes a bunch of stuff invalid. Same thing with Dark Reapers.
It's really nice in general. It's not
Yeah.
just like a film.
But the Castellan is much worse. Like if you have regular knights, you can regular knights killed one Valkyrie.
Right.
The Castellan kills two Valkyries on its own.
Okay.
So it's a whole nother level because then you're gonna have two other knights and the ability to have that much concentrated firepower with a 3-up in bow is the problem.
Right.
What other questions we got?
Yeah.
One that's close to my heart. Why don't you guys think we see more of the Whirlwind Scorpius? Which I'll be playing tomorrow.
I have lists with it in it. I think it's great for Space Wolves because you can just ignore hit modifiers. It's really expensive, both in
It's just
monetarily
pricey
and points.
I mean, it's pricey point wise. Like
Yeah.
220 is a lot for like a tank that doesn't add value besides its gun. Well, it's a good gun,
Yeah.
but it's got to get its points back because all it's doing is shooting you. It's not board controlling. It's not charging stuff. It's not transporting. It's just a tank with a gun. So that gun's gonna get 220 points, whatever, back and quickly. It's not like if he gets 220 back by turn 6, it's worth it. It's got to make an impact quickly.
And it's so terrain dependent right now. You know, if you can't hide it, that's it.
Like what the point Nick made is true for the whirlwind scorpions, but also for any vehicle that's not got flying on it. For the most part, if it can't fight or fly, it can't go to the midboard. It can't.
Yeah, it's
They get
shooting
something
its
that's
gun.
got
That gun's got. That's actually why I fundamentally dislike flyers. For the most part, it's a tank that shoots you, so it's got to just be so good at shooting that it's getting it done, because it doesn't do anything else.
All right. Some more Eldar. Do you guys think that warp spiders or specters are going to see some play now that they've
Probably not.
been adjusted?
They could, but probably not.
Do you think spears are just holding that position more strongly?
I think that spiders and specters do a different role than spears entirely. Specters compete a lot for soul burst, and between Dark Reapers and spears, you're just never putting Guide and Doom and all those resources on the specters. And then warp spiders, I think they fit a style that very few people care to play with Eldar. It would be like a very soft character heavy style. Like Sean Naden might run spiders. Me on my vacation might run some spiders, but no one else is running spiders.
Are people enjoying Gus's participation in the show?
This is my favorite part.
Yeah. This is his favorite part.
You guys are seeing what I spend like 30% of my time at home doing.
And it will be more if Gus had his way.
It would be. I tell him no.
All right. Want some more questions? Or?
Good.
All right. Do you guys think Tau have a chance of taking up some good space in tournaments at this point?
They're gonna make us a spot. I put them more in like a spoiler position because like they still don't do assault. They're still linear. They're better than they were because they got price drops, but like fundamentally they haven't changed as an army. They're guns that shoot you and it works or it doesn't. So to me they still hold that spoiler role, but people like Tau.
I mean, basically, as long as there's ways to turn off Overwatch and ways to get into combat
Yeah.
and do things.
And we're not even talking like the Angel's Wing or some weird stuff like that. Like just using terrain is
Yeah.
good enough, and tables have terrain.
Yeah, there's too many big units that move quickly and get into combat that don't care if they take, a bunch of losses.
And a lot of things can actually outshoot Tau. When you're out
This is
shooting
true.
Tau don't really have anything else they can do besides hope it gets better for them.
It's we participate in two phases of the game.
That
problem.
sounds that sounds pretty negative. We should be clear that they never were bad.
No.
No, they're not bad.
They're better
just-
now than they were before.
Yeah.
Trooper.
I wouldn't put money on like Tau winning an LVO or a Nova or anything like that.
But you
because
could totally
they're
get to
just
the top 8, right?
You could.
They might
Tau
be
could
first
win LVO the same as they can get to top 8. I think it's more likely than not by like a while that you'll just run to something your guns don't work against, so you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Tau,
That's bad matchup.
they have several strong builds, and then obviously we've been seeing the Taunar pop up now. That's the definition of a gimmick spoiler build. It's like I have this giant thing and a bunch of drones, but
You know he can't fall back in charge. So what a guy.
but it's not that they're bad. It's just that if you build a list and you take them into account, as long as you have terrain, as long as you have the factors you're counting on, you can have a plan to deal with them.
They really don't like Eldar.
Guys,
Yeah.
aren't you tired? It's like midnight.
He's been napping all day.
Yeah.
Waiting for you. Waiting for you to stop playing.
So I can play with you.
So here, what was the next one? Oh, so they just recently sent out the survey for ITC missions. What would you guys like to see
I just
change or
threw it. I
modify?
don't have it. I like not for the missions, but from the ITC format. I think I want them to restructure how they figure out scores. It puts so much weight on size of event that like third place at Nova is what I got is 180 points. It's gonna be the same as going 4-2 at LVO.
Okay.
It's not hard to go 4-2 at LVO.
No, it's not.
Try getting third place in Nova. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, there has to be an adjustment. I think that the math right now, I would completely echo that. The other issue we have right now is terrain rules. Just terrain is not well defined.
This is Reese Hammer. I can't change because Reese likes Reese Hammer.
But they just wrote an entire giant document that makes it not ill-defined at all. Comparatively.
Well, it's not.
It's well defined now. It's just people disagree with how they define it. But it's defined. I don't care.
Yeah.
I care about the fact that they're ruining their own circuit because it's not a circuit. It's a go to tournaments, have fun, make you feel like you're playing a circuit, and then go to LVO.
Right, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. And then it overshadows everything. Like, you can't win a faction award without attending LVO. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And without doing great.
And forget
at LVO.
attempting to win LVO or place top 10 in ITC, or win ITC or placing in top 10 without actually attending LVO. And I get it. You know, it's a business for them. They want people to attend LVO. So it should carry the most weight. And it's probably the hardest event of the year. It's like 800 people now. It should carry more weight. But it shouldn't carry so much weight it eclipses all the relevance of the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is because it's so big, you could have a much easier path. Like you and I could both go to the top 8, and I could have a significantly easier path.
For sure. But it's also a matter of consistency. Winning 9 games, maybe 10 games now in a row, no matter how hard your path is, at some point you will have hard games. That's a given because you will get to top 16, top 8.
Right. And
no one's garbage in those brackets.
True.
And then on top of that, you have to not have, like you're going to roll bad for an entire round at LVO. Happens to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to play through that if you want to win that tournament. So it's a consistency issue. And if you bring a volatile list, you're going to roll bad multiple times.
So to talk about the ITC missions themselves, we're all going to agree that Reaper and Mark for Death shouldn't stack.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I am.
That's a significant problem.
That's right.
So the problem with the secondaries right now is if you play a Horde army, Orcs for sure, Chaos usually, Guard as well. And the Guard actually doesn't fit as well into this. Tyranids. But for Tyranids, Orcs and Chaos, their big units are more than power level 7. And you're taking Reaper against them, and then you're marking for death the same things you have to go for Reaper, and they're giving up 8 points before you even get started. Then you have Eldar and other armies like that, where it's like much harder to take things against. That shouldn't be the case. Eldar shouldn't just have less secondaries.
Yeah, so I Guard actually do fit right in, because when I build my list, like, at least 2 of my...
Most people just bring like 90 infantry.
Well, but even then, like, I've never had an opponent have a hard time figuring out what at least 2 of their secondaries are just automatically going to be.
I don't think max secondaries.
No, not that one.
Stack for Guard.
But the problem is right now is that because it's just kind of blanket, and they're like, oh, well, we want to make sure this kind of unit you have a way to do it, or this kind, because of how Eldar kind of just fall into, they just kind of slide right in between those definitions that they've used, and I know that they're always trying to address that. They're certainly open to change. So like it's constructive criticism, but Eldar, like it's so hard to get good secondaries against, and that is a huge boon because one of the most important and underrated tournament strategies is denying your opponent secondaries.
Yep.
It's huge because kill more, hold more. You can usually get one or the other, or you can push. You can neutralize a lot of those points. It's those secondaries that you can really make a big difference on.
I think one of the interesting points, so if you're not in a scenario like you're doing the Imperial Guard and Mark for Death and Reaper don't matter, chances are Butcher's Bill and Reaper matters. Mm-hmm. What you end up with is if you want to play a Horde, I get to double score you in the secondaries.
Right,
yep.
So exactly.
So play 90 models.
Great,
exactly.
Like even if you run 10 units of 9 infantry or whatever, you only do 10 infantry like Guard Squads, Brigade, Battalion, whatever you want to do. I'm like 100% booking Reaper and Butcher's because you got 9 squads of 10 dudes that are made of tissue paper, plus like 15 characters. That's 90 dudes for Reaper that I'm gonna have to kill, or I'll kill at least like 60 of them and some other stuff you took, and then that's easy Butcher's Bill too.
Well, and it also makes it so that you are able to play a much more defensive game because you know you have those kills available to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think part of the reason why Eldar is even good, well, Yunari is even good, is this. Because there's so many games where you can play defensive with Yunari, you can get kill more each turn, they get hold more each turn, they give up secondaries, you don't, you win the game.
Yep.
Right, you never even have to leave
You
your
force the
opponent's
other
on
guy
that.
to do stuff because
I
you're
feel
just
like
beating him before it starts.
That is how you play Yunari in a lot of ways.
Like
And
your
so
army's broken and you can kill them whenever you want.
You start with the tempo on your side.
It's your game to lose by the time before you even roll a die.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're not as good in the ETC.
They're not.
No, they're not?
They're not because there's a totally different format. They're much worse at the missions.
Okay.
Let's take a look at, so you've got a player going to a tournament for the first time. What's the best single tip you could give them?
You go to learn, don't go to win.
Yeah.
Go there with an open mind. Don't blame your dice, and just you probably don't know what everything does in the game. So just learn what your stuff does better, learn what your opponent's stuff does. Ask questions. It's okay. Like you're not there to win. You're not going to win your first tournament ever. No one does. You try not to get raped. But
That's your top tip.
those are my top 2 tips.
Don't go to a hotel room with.
So don't get raped, and go to learn.
I'd go even higher level than you, Nick. make sure you have fun.
Yeah.
It's your first tournament.
That's
It
a
can be
good point.
stressful. It can be intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't even care if they get better at their first tournament, right?
Yeah.
Because there's there even for someone like me who's like pretty outgoing and wants to try different things, I still get anxious going somewhere for the first time. Right?
Yeah, going
something
true.
you've never done
For me,
before.
it's so natural. I forget that's the thing I have to say, but it's like a hobby. Enjoy it.
Make some friends.
The thing I try to tell people is to stop waiting to go to tournaments. Just go now. And it's a throwaway tournament. Go have fun.
No.
Get your butt kicked 3 times in a row, but see what a tournament looks like.
Yeah.
So you can stop guessing about all the different things a tournament might be and how you to be prepared. Just go see what it is. Learn it. And then you can just focus on exactly what you know you need from there on out.
My tip would be to show up early, introduce yourself to the TO, tell them it's your first tournament, and offer to help in any way you can to set up, and have them look at your list to make sure it's legal.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
If you
somebody
do
to check
that,
for you.
almost every single TO you ever encounter is going to want to make sure you have a great time because you are exactly the player they want at their events, and you're going to have a familiarity with them. So if you have a question, if you're uncomfortable with something, if you're not sure how something works, you already are on a first name basis and can be like, hey, I need some help over here, and you don't feel like you're calling over the judge. It's Steve, whatever his name is, right? Like it doesn't matter. If you know your TO and have them know you, and have them know that you're just there to have a good time, and that is, to me, like one of the key things for having a good tournament experience.
And tell your opponents that it's your first tournament.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't think, I'm not going to tell them.
Because if I don't know you, I'm me, and I'll went to 6,000 tournaments. But if I don't know you, I'm not stepping off the gas until I can step off the gas. So if you tell me like, hey, I'm here to learn, have a good time. It's my first tournament. Could you help me out? I'll step off the gas before it starts. Let's just play a game. I'll teach you some stuff. Have a great time.
Yeah, I didn't place at the Gentleman's GT because I had my first game was a guy. It was his first tournament. He was playing Tau, so I won, but it was like 19 to like 14 because I was trying to show him a lot of different stuff. We didn't get as far into the game, and then my next guy was someone who hadn't played since second, and he was playing Grey Knights. And so again, it's the same thing of like if you tell people, the majority of people are gonna try and make sure you have a good time because everyone
wants to know the hobby to grow. No one gets the hobby to grow by just dick stomping you.
Well, also, everyone's been there. Everyone's had a first tournament. Everyone's been nervous and not known what to do, and so most people can identify with that. But if you don't tell someone, they're not going to know. And then if someone is a jerk, that's them. That's not the community. You've learned something about that person, not that scene.
And I just want to say, I've been to like 25 tournaments in the year and a half I've been playing, and I've had 2, maybe 3 games against people that I thought were jerks.
Yeah, I've had like maybe 3.
I've been to tournaments for 15 years, and I can recall 2 games I didn't like.
Yeah, so...
that's probably 100 tournaments plus.
So, yeah, just remember, everybody talks about the bad things, so people love talking about drama.
Mm-hmm.
It's the internet's favorite topic is, oh my god, this guy did blah, blah, blah. And if you just, kill people with kindness and tell people that you want to be their friend, basically, it's not going to be bad.
Well, and remember when someone's recounting a story to you about a tournament or an experience, you're hearing their narrative. It's not necessarily what happened. It's not necessarily how things worked. You don't know how that person behaved to maybe to contribute to whatever the situation was. Take everything with a grain of salt because people... there's a psychological phenomenon when you retell a negative experience, your mind is trying to get back into the mental state that you were in when you had that experience. So you will add details to try and work yourself up emotionally. So if they've told that story 5 times, there might be 5 new details that they remembered, quote unquote. And it's not that they're lying, it's just the way human brains work. It's just how they work.
A little bit.
Yes.
That horse has been...
Yeah, and if there was a 200 people there at the tournament, and there were 6 rounds, that means there was 100 games a round, which means there were 600 games, and 1 was bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone focuses on it, but it means there was 599 good games.
I have an even more contentious question for you.
Okay.
Death Guard, Thousand Suns, using Marines.
Death Guard runs are way better than Rupert Marines.
You got to use them both.
What was the question?
Can you make a list that uses both?
Oh, yeah.
Uses Marines instead of just cultists and things.
Yeah. I actually think one of the best spoiler lists you could bring for LVO is 30 Blight Lords. You're not going to win LVO with 30 Blight Lords, but you'll go 5-1 and piss a lot of people off.
Yeah. You're going to ruin somebody's chances.
We call that hoosening it.
The Hoosen. Except for every once in a while he makes it all the way to the end,
Yeah.
so it's not really spoiler.
Don't bring 30 Bannerlords. I don't know if
I've played with the same idea with 30 Wolfen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get back to maybe a story.
Yeah.
Nick, if you tell us about your favorite game from ETC.
This year or
Mhm.
ever? Okay.
Forever, I guess. Or
I'm not gonna try to recall all 36 games I played ETC, so we'll go with this year. So not round 1. That was France. Round 2 was really fun. That was against Australia, but it wasn't super. I know. It's actually a game I lost. Okay, there's 2 favorite games. One's a game I lost, and one's a game I won. So round 4 was Poland. Poland's one of the top teams ever. They've won ETC like 2 or 3 times already. This is our first year whenever. We've never beaten Poland before this year. It's our first time ever beating them. So we're sitting there, we're looking at the list, and they have a list which is 100 Gene Stealers. It's just like 3 Flyers, 3 Venom Throps, 100 Gene Stealers. And our whole team is looking at this, and it's like, it's not good in singles, but holy shit, it's broken in teams. Because like, you also get to pick whatever table you want if this thing first defends, and then that means there's just no line of sight. You can't shoot it. And this is 100 Stealers, and you're getting tabled. So we're like, what the fuck do we do? And
we're taking notes for ATC over here.
So, don't worry, I got you covered. So, we look at my army, and we're going through our team and whatever, and we realize that my double spear Unari list actually is terrible against Poland. And we're like, man, Nick sucks. So I was like, put me out, first defender, I'll pick a good board with Unari, and I'll pull some points against something. Or I'll just 0 out against, like, they have, like, Magnus and 3 Castellans or some shit like that. And I was like, I'll fight that, get my nice big 0, no one else has to worry about it, I guess. Because I got nothing to do against this team. Like, I know where I can go and fight and get an actual win. So I first defended, and Poland somehow didn't first defend with Steelers, because they're crazy. And then they attacked me with it, and they also attacked me with Nantalos, and I was like, I'll take some Steelers. So I picked the emptiest table on the history of tables. Like, there was a tree. There was a fucking tree. That was it. And I played my balls off, because I know it's like the back of my hand. And of course, it wasn't just like an easy game. It was like a progressive mission, so like, you get points for holding the objectives turn by turn, and there's no end game to this at all. And then you draw maelstrom cards based on how many objectives you're holding. And I'm like, 100 Gene Stealers are going to hold every fucking objective. Like, I'm not going to do anything. And then it was Pointy Dawn of War, so I start, like, next door to the guy. So I'm playing my dick off. And I actually tabled him. And we played a really good game. He was a really good guy. But, like, I'm really proud of how I played that game. Because I fucking tabled his ass. So then my next round, or 2 rounds later, I played against Russia. And Russia's another really good team. We have beaten them before, but they're a top team for sure. I think they've won before also. So I get myself an Unari double spear or single spear list. I have 2 spears and they have 1 spear. And generally speaking, the winner of Unari mirrors is whoever has more spears. So I went in thinking, I was like, I got more spears. I got this shit. I'm awesome. I got this shit. So I went first. I Phantasm, super aggressive. He didn't Phantasm defensively. I was like, this dude doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I'm a dumpster his ass. So I go in, and I wreck a serpent, and there's like 500 characters that fall out of the stupid serpent, and like 5 Howling Banshees. There's fucking Howling Banshees. So I'm like, okay, I'll charge in, I'll wreck some Banshees, I'll kill a Spirit or some shit, and I'll Silver's 22 inches back behind this wall, and then I literally can't lose. His spears were deep striking, they weren't even on the table yet. I was like, this will be fine. So I go in, and then shit happens, so I don't kill anything. So I'm like, oh god, these spears are not silver sting away, they're just in combat with some howling fucking banshees. So he falls back, and then double reaper shoots me, and I had no more spears. Now I'm playing single spear with single spear, and I have nothing to show for it. So eventually, I get ground down in this game I had no business losing, but I was playing my fucking balls off the entire time after that to just scrounge points. So I scrounged like 8 points out of the game, which is really embarrassing because I should have gotten a freaking 20. But it was a really well-played game. My opponent was super awesome the whole way through, and I really enjoyed it. So that was a fun story.
Do you guys think there are any specialist attachments out of Vigilus that are really sort of standing out?
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah. Yeah, Anointed Throng, I think
the
you guys
Aberrant
take
is
this
ridiculous.
one. Yeah, the
Brave
Aberrant.
Host is great.
Sorry, Gus.
The Wind Rider one is also good.
Yeah.
The Space Wolf and Dark Angel ones have their place. The Dark Angel one is really solid with Talon Masters and Ravenwing. So, had I been playing correctly against Colin, I should have brought my Talon Master in our game up killed that Shining Spear and charged into the Wraith Blades outside of the Vexator Mask, because I get to swing and then immediately leave.
Right.
And if I had done that, Samael actually maybe lives, and instead of him just getting sacrificed for no reason.
Yeah.
So there's some really cool, like, it's giving the Imperium some cool tricks that it didn't have before. If Blood Claws go down in price, the Space Wolf one will be good. Outside of that, it's giving you another Warlord trait that gives you another +1 attack aura, so you can stack that. So you can effectively have +3 attacks on one of your Space Wolves within 6 inches, which is pretty cool. The Emperor's Fist Conclave is awesome against orcs. Everyone else, it's Tyranids is also good against, but they have a lot more movement, so they can negate it a lot easier. But it makes conscripts and infantry squads much scarier for orcs to charge, for sure. And I've actually, I think the 10-man squads benefit from it more often, because you can usually be able to have them positioned in a way where they're all going to be able to pile in and swing back, and they're going to be hitting on 4s. So, but the conscripts do work too against orcs with that.
Alright. Let's take a look here. What do you guys think of with Custodes? How do you think they're faring after the meta changes here?
Oh, I never liked them. I think the Custodes are a gimmick list, and I know that's not a popular opinion, but basically there's 2 kinds of Custodes lists. Well, there's 3. There's you took Custodes and you put them with other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Fine.
Yeah.
I think people taking the Castellum list, the Castellan Guard and Smash Captains, and putting in Shield Captains is fine. It's not as good, but it's not bad. It's still a good list. But the other 2 types of Custodes lists you run into are 1,000,000 bikes, or bikes and infantry, and they actually tried to do a full Custode thing. In both cases, you're asking your opponent, can you deal with Custodes? And a lot of people will say no, and Eldar will say, yes, please. So I've played against Custodes with Eldar 5 times at tournaments, 4 times at tournaments, and I've played them twice with Tyranids. And in both cases, if you can outmaneuver them and shoot them and damage them and eventually kill them, it's fine. They really feel like, I was saying that it's not a popular opinion, but to me, Custodes lists are gimmicks.
Yeah, they're pretty gimmicky.
Yeah, they're like, can you deal with this?
Yeah.
That's the question they ask.
I think we should maybe define what they mean by gimmick is that it only really has one question that list asks of you.
Yeah.
So it's a one-trick pony. The thing that Custodes have going for them is that sometimes 4-ups just happen, right? Like, and that's cool. But as Nick was talking about for like LVO and stuff, consistency is key. You're gonna have a round where you're not gonna make all those 4-ups, and that's gonna be a problem. So they lean so hard on like one. Well, they lean so hard on OBSEC, armor saves, and invos. That's what they lean on, and that's not enough because there's AP. Ways to reduce or eliminate invos, and plenty of other units with OBSEC. So eventually you're going to find the cocktail, or if you're in bigger tournaments, you will run into that cocktail that just takes care of you.
They also don't like playing against 3 big knights.
This is true.
Also, Ludas.
Yeah.
Ludas do bad things.
You pick up so many Custodes so fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Unless they're in cover.
Because
Yeah.
you get everybody's a 3-up save then.
Even when they're in cover, the ratio is still pretty bad
In
for
cover,
them.
because it's still 2 armor saves.
Right. But I can put a wall of 24 boys between them and me, and they can't do anything to that thing.
Yeah.
They shoot up, they
You're
kill
saying
20
you're
of
not
them,
killing them that
whatever.
well. At
Yeah.
2-ups.
Why, it's still on the table.
Custodes have the problem of if you
Orcs will
have
beat Custodes.
Yeah.
if you have long range shooting and enough bodies in between,
Yeah.
they just can't get to it, and you're gonna clean them up.
I haven't played it yet, but I'm so wet for Claw Boss with 4 damage versus Custodian Spikes. Fight
It's-
twice, fight when you die, just no.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And that's their reward for finally making it anywhere close.
Right, yeah. It's like you wanted this fight.
Yeah. Another good orc question for you. What do you guys think on the slugs versus shootas?
I am pro Slugga. I want all in on the Sluggas. The end.
Chuck, answer the question.
Yeah, for me, I run all sluggas except for one Bad Moon Shooter Boy unit, and it is my sacrifice Ludus. I will jump it up in front of my opponent, do some boom blocking, and blow away a bunch of screen with it.
Yeah, I've thought about running that unit.
You kind of go one way or the other. I mostly think like if you're just generally asking the questions, the extra attack is better. You want to be in moving and doing combat more than you do one shooting.
This is too much. Look how cute this is. This is dumb. This is like, I just want you to throw this thing. That's all I want.
He's like, I'm just a pure. Like,
But if I throw it,
loving-
you'll never stop.
Yep.
Another
No.
question about a unit value. Zangor Enlightened. How do you guys feel on
That's the
this?
guy ones on the discs with the
Yeah.
bows.
The bows, or some of them can have spears for close
Their
combat.
damage is really good, but man, are they fragile.
I just don't like him.
That is Colin's answer is my answer.
Yeah.
Colin's answer is mine too.
And I've put in 5-6 games with them, with up to 27 of them.
Yeah.
If I go first and I can get the damage in from them, I can sort of get their value. My opponent goes first, and they're all just gone. It's like a Primaris ring with a 5-up save.
Yeah, I watched a Canhammer.
great
It's funny
analogy.
that we're on the Canhammer podcast. I watched a Canhammer battle report where you had units of 9
Yeah.
of them, and they have bad morale problems.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
And I
it.
was like, oh yeah, they needed one more thing wrong with them.
Yeah.
That's what they needed.
No,
That's what they were looking for. Was like this guy was playing Eldar and he went in with all these hemlocks, and he's just like wrecking them.
When they came,
And then they're all taking morale tests, and I'm like, oh, this is awful.
when they came out, this was before Rule 3, back in like March or April or something. One of the ETC lists we thought would exist was just like 2,000 points divided by them. Because we were like, these are so efficient at a certain point when you can spam infinite of them.
Yeah.
And I put that on the table because they were like, Nick plays demons, he could play 80 fucking Zangor and Lighten. So I put it on the table a couple times and I played against my own Dark Reaper list. Well, it's not Dark Reaper, my Inari list. And this is also back when Dark Reapers were cheaper. So my Inari list had like 20 of them. And you know what's really mean to 2 models with T4 and a 5 Binvol? 20 freaking Dark Reapers.
Yeah.
I got tabled so freaking fast.
And how many times have you played Eldar and people are all excited about how hard their plague bearers are to kill?
Yeah.
That's the other 2 damage thing. I just like
Yeah. I
it's,
can't wait to shoot loot as a Plague Bears. It's
Yeah.
like
So
it's the
something's-
same thing. It's the same thing.
My answer to this question was just going to be Ludus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that does 2 damage is just wrecking you, and you're paying for nothing.
Yeah.
That matches my experiences. While we're talking about our great Lord of Change, what about Lords of Change?
You can make one kind of sort of unkillable, I guess.
3-up and Golden Guy?
It doesn't do anything, but it does live sometimes.
You played so many games with them against me trying to make them work, and every time I'm like, that thing doesn't work, Chuck.
Yeah.
It just
Why
doesn't
is
do
that
anything.
thing so
Have
expensive?
you seen how big and beautiful that model is?
Yeah.
Yes, and yours is particularly big.
Yes, I wanted to win some best painted. Just not worth it.
No, it just doesn't do anything.
Alright, Bloodletters versus Zangors.
Oh, Zangors. I answer this every week in my clinics.
You
when I
really do.
Like every week. I make the joke every week. Do I have to explain why? Because I'll go on a rant.
Yeah, these guys don't. Not
Okay.
necessarily in your
Okay.
clinic. Rant a little bit, and then
So I'm
We'll
just gonna okay. So I'm just gonna explain why Bloodletters are the worst thing on the freaking planet. So you spend
That's not fair. There are things much worse
Necrons
than
exist.
Yeah,
no, never mind.
they got
play Necrons
punch
before
changes.
Bloodletters.
It's moving.
So you're gonna spend 2 to 3 CP to deep strike, then depending on how big the squad size is, 2 to 3 CP deep. Then you're gonna deep strike down turn 2, and your opponent's not an idiot, and his list doesn't suck, so he's got screens. So like, alright, I'm gonna charge these screens, kill a bunch of shit, and hug something, because that's a reasonable plan. So like, I'm gonna charge everything within 12, because you're a bloodletter bomb. You're gonna kill everything within 12 except for like one thing you're gonna hug. So that means you're gonna get overwatched by everything you charge. So you lose like 3-4 bloodletters on the way in because you're a freaking guardsman. So you charge in and you kill like 10 freaking rangers or 20 guardsmen or something, half your cost. And then you trap like a ranger or 10 guardsmen or some shit like that. But then they get to attack back because you're hugging them, so you haven't killed them obviously, and you're trapping them. So you take 5-10 attacks back and you lose 2-3 more guys because again, you're a freaking guardsman.
Yeah, if they're catachans, they're winning on.
Oh, we're not even I'm not even attempting to go through catchings because you're just dead before it even starts. So this is like normal guard, Cadians, or like rangers, or things you're actually good against. So yeah, you've lost like 6 guys before it even starts, like before your opponent's turn has even began because you don't want to get shot next turn. So then you gotta take a morale check, and like these 6 guys are gonna die, or you could spend 2 CP to save it. So you don't spend 2 CP because then it's already cost you 5 CP before it even starts, and your 30-man turn into a 20-man, or your 20-man turn into like a 12-man.
Well, likely it's a 19-man, so now you've lost your +1. That's what happens to me.
Oh yeah,
most of the time.
if you're taking a 20, you're not getting +1 hit, but that's okay because you're killing freaking rangers. So then your opponent is like, man, I can't shoot these bloodletters because he trapped my rangers. What do? Oh yeah, I charge it with anything because it's 15 freaking guardsmen, and then you have no more bloodletters, and that was 200 points and 5 CP.
That was a short rant. It was fine.
I've got that.
Pretty
So-
great.
Next time,
Yeah, you have that.
I've heard it enough that I'll do it next time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But tune into my game tomorrow to see me use 30 bloodletters and a Scorpius together.
As someone, I've actually one of the only factions I haven't played at least a couple games of this chaos. From the observer point of view, I love Zangors. Like Zangors seem like they're one of the coolest things in the game.
If I was still on the Chaos train, I would probably be working on my.
If I'm running
30.
chaos, I'm putting 90 Zangors on the list. That's where I start.
Yeah, so I think that's an
Or 30
important.
Blade Lords.
Yeah, well, I think that's an important thing to understand is there are certain things that are just better. So he's talking about 90 Zangors. It's the same thing. I'm like, if I'm building an IG list, I start with at least 60 conscripts. Like it's not even a
So
question.
there was a really important thing that Nick said at the beginning of that I want to tangent on for just a second. You said, and your opponent, blah blah blah. I don't remember exactly what you said, but you said because they're not an idiot.
Yeah.
And one of the things that comes up a lot in the questions we get in the BiffPod chat is people are like, "What about this? What about this?" And I like to say, you don't need to do that to beat the people you're already going to beat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like there's a bunch of neat combos in the game that are good against people that you already can beat with the way your list already does. Right? Like someone's like, well, my opponent won't like I love some people say this to me. I love hemlocks because people don't know to screen their characters.
Yeah.
And I'll say, well, I'm not going to lose to those people.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
the people that don't know
You
to screen
say
their
this,
characters.
but I did lose Cat Lady to a vulture turn 1. on
I'll
Thursday.
retort slightly though.
You did.
I like to push people. I like to move towards you, so you have to screen to block my charges. I want to fly past you, so you have to screen to keep your character safe.
Sure.
I want some deep strikes.
But is that really worth 200
But that's different than what I'm saying.
Right,
Though.
but that once you get into that world where you're getting a bunch of variety and you're pushing them.
Yeah.
But
Well,
so
that's-
if they're
But
not,
that's different than counting on your opponent to not know how
No,
something
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
but
So
those are two different
So
things. You want to
there's
recognize.
I like the hemlock because it forces my opponent to screen. That's a different sentence than I like the hemlock because sometimes an opponent fucks up and doesn't screen.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
You have to acknowledge.
and
that
I'm already going to
difference.
beat that person.
yeah,
That's
so
what I'm saying.
the
Well,
other
the
thing
person you're talking to is not going to grow unless you make this exception that I'm telling you about.
Yeah.
You got to tell them like this is what you're actually looking for. This is the value you're getting, so they can get an appropriate value.
Yeah, so it's once again it's about we talk about this on the podcast a lot. It's about what questions does your list ask, but it's also what threats do you pose. So if you're a mono threat army, a la Tau, like it's all shooting, then I need to focus on minimizing your shooting. That's the only thing I have to worry about. I can put a lot more brain power into that. Versus if I'm playing against orcs, I'm going to have psychic powers. I have to screen for deep strike. I have to worry about ludas. I have to worry about close combat. Like, I am having to worry about you in every phase of the game. And critical thinking, decision making, people your brain breaks down so much faster if you have to continually shift like that. You get mentally fatigued a lot faster.
It's also like earlier this chat I was saying like my ludas don't actually do that much. They just change how the dynamic of the game more. That's because people are smart and they hide from the ludas. I don't take ludas because they kill everything against bad players. I take ludas because they change how good players have to play.
Right.
But I distinguish that. You know, I didn't say ludas kill everything when they can, but they don't realistically. They realistically just force people to hide more.
Yeah, they don't
Well,
push them into
you're-
corners so that your boys can charge and be
Right,
valuable.
that's a different thing than I take ludas because my opponent won't.
That trapped you, Gus.
Sometimes, sometimes grotesques and stuff like that cannot fight the whole game and still be super valuable.
Right.
Yeah.
Your wraith blades get value all the time. I never charge them.
Right. They're just standing around.
They're just a wall that orcs can't get past. That's a great wall.
Good boy.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next hard-hitting question.
Any Imperial questions?
It's an Imperial question.
Hey!
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You think the Vindicare Assassin has a place in tournament play?
No.
Yeah, it's no. Sorry.
Sorry. It's one shot that hits on twos. Cool.
Yeah.
It's a Gollum in. You reroll those ones though.
Yeah. Ooh.
Don't listen to me.
Unfortunately, no.
It is the worst assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah. By a lot. We know he looks cool. That doesn't make it work.
Yeah, I own two. Not good.
You know what's funny about him? As I was thinking about this with Chapter Perfume, I think they could have halved his points and he's still bad.
I would take 3 of them. He was half points.
What is he now? He's 80 right now?
If he was 40, I'd
I think
take
he's
it.
down to 80.
What?
He's down to 80, I think.
I would take 3.
You're right. If it's 40, you take 3.
Yeah,
but,
but
but if it's 60, you wouldn't take 3.
No,
here's
60 you still don't take them.
So but
He's still
it's
overpriced.
costing you a detachment and it's costing
well,
you
if
CP.
I was doing that, I would also take like 2 Colexes or something.
Yeah,
Get
but-
something useful.
Yeah,
out of this.
it's still the problem with assassins right now is they have a tax that comes with them.
Yep.
Like every time I'm building lists, with very few exceptions, I need all 3 detachments. I don't have a spare one.
Vindicators fall into the same category for me as like flyers or something like that. They don't add any value for board control. They don't do any combat thing. They don't move. They sit there and they shoot. So their shooting has to be so good it's board broken or it's just not good enough. So that's why I was saying at 40 I would take 3. At 60 I would take 0 because it's going to be too good or it's not good enough to make it.
Nick, I know you hate flyers. What do you mean they don't provide board control? Because to me, you get recon, you can screen stuff, you can mess up people's pile-in.
Charge stuff and do things like that.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like John charged you.
Yeah, okay. But then they die because they're the closest thing,
Yeah.
which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
They made it 4.5 seconds.
No, I like where flyers can have a place is especially for the Imperium because we don't have a lot of units with fly. Is for providing screens that can escape or can push.
I also hate that they have to move certain ways.
Yeah,
ones with hover make it a lot better.
Yeah.
But then they're like half
vultures.
flyers.
Yeah.
But something that just like has to move, like a night scythe. Not that forget the night scythe sucks, but like having to move is just so freaking bad. That's why I hate Razor Wings really. Like Razor Wing the plane.
Yeah, I really liked them on paper, and then I played a few games with them, and I was really disappointed.
Yep.
I like them on paper. They're flyers. Fuck 'em.
But you don't like anything that's one model and expensive. That's like you don't put stuff like that in like any list.
I have.
But not normally. Well, other than wave serpents.
Those look as expensive. Like,
But I mean, like you don't like flyers, you don't like knights, you don't like tanks, you don't like. I mean, like you don't play with any of the stuff that's like 160, 170, 180 points for one thing.
yeah, no.
And I get that because as much as ITC emphasizes that hordes give up more points, horde armies are better.
Yep.
It's also, it's not even just ITC. It's like, I don't want to take this thing that could just die. From like that Castellan. That I
Yeah,
play in
the Castellan it makes vehicles so much less viable. Unfortunately,
I haven't liked them before the Castellan existed, to be fair. But same principle applied. There were guns before the Castellan existed. He's just become the new gun.
Yeah.
He's just the easiest gun to point at.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well,
that
but
was-
even before the Castellan, there's still Eldar.
But like, I would
Eldar
run
can
Riptides
still shoot your
around
vehicles
town.
off the.
But there's
Riptides can't get shot,
Gus,
so
Gus.
that's why I run Riptides.
Come here.
This actually brings me to an interesting question. We saw a bunch of Tyranids this weekend. We did not see any Hive Guard. They used to be a staple, and now they seem to have moved on. You guys want to talk about why that
They're
is?
useless for orcs, so that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
They also, I at Wars in the Land of Pre-Orcs, which was a GT I went to in November, I played Nids. I had Hive Guard, and they really felt kind of useless to me. I needed to have some sort of firepower in my list, so they felt that they filled that role because they changed the dynamic of the game, much like Ludas do. But I didn't do anything in most of my games, and that was really a range issue most of the time. 36-inch range just doesn't get it done.
Yeah, and not staying safe.
Yeah, so
And they're not that easy to hide.
if you look at what like John and Alex have replaced their range with,
An actual army that shoots.
yeah, it's like vultures can go where they want and shoot you, so range isn't really a problem. They only outrange the vultures in my game with them. And then Alex has mortars, which 48 inches is a lot different than 36
that's
when
the
you're
magic
trying to
number.
actually
So-
stay outside of range.
So I talked to Alex about this exact question earlier, and what he said was he needs command points to run everything else.
Yeah.
So he can't pay the Hive Guards and
Yep.
pay the rest of his army at the same
Well,
time
so
as well.
And double attacking Steelers is better than double shooting Hive Guard, like every time, pretty much.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, there is, I actually think, a place
Oh, I know.
for Hive Guard, but it's not in a Tyranids list. It's in an Imperial Guard GSC with a NIDS detachment where you take the Relic Dagger on a
Sneak
officer
them.
of the fleet so you can outflank them.
That's
All this-
clever. That's not good.
It can be very useful for being able to pop up, but you have to have. When I was experimenting with that, I had 3 vultures. I had a bunch of other stuff.
That's Hive Guard. That's Hive Guard that are coming in from Deep Strike on turn 2 or 3
Yep.
and hitting on 4s.
Yep.
That's what that is. That's not. That's it's
Well,
and
psychic
people.
power.
Yeah, if you're near onslaught.
No, I had that planned out. Yeah.
Okay. I think that the Hive Guard coming in with the dagger is clever because people don't know you can do it, and I don't think it gets you that much.
All right.
The double shots, it can be clutch, but it's not something to build an army around.
This is probably my favorite question so far. How do you guys deal with losing streaks?
I make jokes with them. I actually was 0-8 with my orcs before this weekend. I stress tested.
That's not true. You went to that RTT on 2-1.
No, since the RTT.
Oh, okay.
So I was on an 8-game losing streak, is what I'm saying. And I just, I know I'm better than that. I'm not mad at my army. I'm not mad at myself for it. It's just, I'm stress testing. It's funny that I couldn't have won a game. So, I don't know. And that's also a matter of confidence. I don't have anything to prove in this game anymore. So, that's unique to me.
When you get to a certain point, and it was, especially in competitive games, my game with Colin was a great example. The game itself, whether I won or lost, was its own reward. I had an amazing time. We tied, and I'm like, I don't care if I win here. I can't play anymore anyway. I felt great about it. Yeah, I had fun. Losing doesn't really matter to me anymore because I'm still getting information. I'm not losing anything. There's no money at stake. There's no one's gonna die. That's my threshold for what gets me upset these days is someone going to get injured or die? Mm-hmm. Anything below that's
unique to you.
Yeah, so. No, but anything below that doesn't really faze me in general. So I'm probably not a good person to ask.
I hate losing.
Yeah.
This is a good question, Colin. How do you deal with losing streaks?
I haven't really had one.
So I was going to say I don't think he's.
That's not true.
Okay.
After they changed Imperial Guard and you were still trying to run the Imperial Guard gun line, but it wasn't working for you. You were having a period of time where you were very frustrated because you had just won several tournaments.
Oh, that's true.
And you took a big step
And then he hired me as a coach, and then he got rid of his losing streak.
Because I got rid of guard.
Because I told him to.
I think that's one of the best things you can do is you shake it up.
Yeah, shake it way up.
Do some kind of things.
Yeah, I was trying. Thanks, Chuck. I knew there had to be something. I wasn't trying to be cocky. I literally couldn't think of what of a situation. So there was two different kinds. I wouldn't call them losing streaks, but stop it. There's two different kinds of times where I wouldn't call it a losing streak, but where I was losing a lot more than I wanted to. The first time was what Chuck said when they changed guard and I couldn't make it work. And the second time was when I first started playing NIDS at tournaments. I won all of my practice games with NIDS, and then went to tournaments and went 3-2 every single tournament. And I wanted to go 4-1. That was my goal for myself. I didn't want to go 3-2. And I think that you just have to be really kind to yourself. I think mixing it up's great, but I think you've got to be really kind to yourself and realize that there's a lot of learning to do with any list. Like is the list actually bad? You have to ask yourself that. In the case of the NIDS list, Nick gave it to me and told me it wasn't bad, and he knows more about the game than me, so there you have it. But you've got to be kind to yourself and keep trying.
Also,
and then eventually realize that Yunari is easier to play. Yeah, and that's really.
Also, the other half of that is a lot of the tournaments we went 3-2 it was because we had to play each other, or you ran into look at why you lost. Losing means nothing without context.
That's true.
If you're losing to Nick or Colin or the best player in your meta, that's fine. Figure out what you need to do to improve. If you're losing to someone who's like, oh yeah, I brought Iron Hands, it's neat.
I like the Iron Hands.
That's actually where the guard story I think is even better because I didn't know what to fix.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that when I lose now, even if I might get frustrated at the table and try not to obviously be bad about it, but usually after the game, I don't know, what do you think, Chuck? An hour after the game, I usually have a takeaway.
Yeah.
And then I feel better.
So the reason I remember your card story is it reminds me of my Chaos story.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tell your Chaos story.
I played Chaos. I love Chaos. 8th edition changed Chaos from one kind of army to an entirely different kind of army, in my opinion. And I am no good at what it is currently. I actually thought, I'm not good at 8th edition. I've been trying so hard. I'm playing Orcs, and it feels easy, and I'm growing quick. What bothered me more than the losing streak, though, was I felt like I was learning so very little between each and every game. And that's the part, I think, of a losing streak that you should really be paying close attention to.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually I broke out of being quiet about it, and I started talking to Mitch and Colin, and eventually Nick, and telling people, look, I'm not getting this. What am I not getting? Look at the way I'm playing and tell me what I'm messing up. And that helped me a ton. And once I got past that learning bump, it didn't matter whether I was losing or not because I felt like I was growing, and now I'm doing great.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is recognize that if you're choosing to play a specific army or a specific thing, you are limiting yourself.
Yep.
And that may be the cause of your losing streak, and you need to be realistic that could be the reason.
And I cannot help but segue into the next question based on that. Can you make Grey Knights work?
No.
Nope.
Because, for one, if you're saying can you make Grey Knights work, I know you mean Mono Codex Grey Knights. So you're tying both your hands behind your back when you start.
Yep.
You're an Imperial faction player.
Yeah.
Move on.
I got brown magic, man. So I don't got that much magic.
So I own.
I think that we need to either reiterate what Chuck said, or Chuck should say it differently.
Yeah, let me say it.
Because Chuck's point is we all agree with strongly,
Yeah.
but I think we.
Yeah. I see this all the time. More so with Imperial players than anyone else. They want to play their one codex.
Yes.
They don't want to play Guard,
Mono
Marines,
Blood Angels
and
the
Knights.
Knights of the game table all
Yep.
the time.
Mono Blood Angels, Mono Grey Knights. There's a certain loyalty that Imperial players have. I don't understand it. I'm a Chaos player. The second they give me another option, I grab that shit and run.
So
Don't say
as someone who owns, I was just doing the math in my head, at least 6,000 points of Grey Knights. And I own most Imperial factions. Read the fluff. They don't fight alone.
Yeah.
No one fights alone in the Imperium. You get guardsmen to throw at them so you can sneak behind and actually kill the Demon Prince or whatever it is.
Yep.
Like, allies are, the game is designed for allies. If you limit yourself that way, that you have to accept that is your restriction. Grey Knights, unless they get the smite change that Thousand Sons got, there's nothing you can do.
My dog is driving me crazy.
See what's up next.
That's what's happening to me right now.
Another.
And I'm also worried that is the noise. Can we ask them? Is the noise of him running around catching this annoying through the microphone?
Well, you've asked.
Okay.
Let's talk about Doomsday arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys feel like they're
Love them.
Yeah, they're
valued
great.
appropriately? Feel like they're going well for
So
Necrons?
160 is a good point. For
Well, I already thought they were the best thing in the Codex at 190.
I didn't like
or 180 or
I
whatever
didn't like
it
it at
was.
193, but I did like 160.
Okay.
I will tell you, sort of the orc point of view. Been listening to a lot of other war bosses out there. They're actually a real big pain in the ass for us. If a
Nightmare
Necro
for
player
us.
has them, they can put them up in front of their army. We can get rid of them,
Well,
but not until we have to end up charging them. And that gives the Necrons
They're
good.
T6, they're 4 up armor. We'll just pick that shit up.
Yeah, but that costs us a turn. Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Necrons don't have anything.
I will realistically ignore it until I feel like killing it, but I could kill it if I wanted to.
Yeah, Doomsday Arcs are cool, but that's in a vacuum. If you put them in their codex, that there's too many other issues.
Yeah, they're certainly
They're
stronger.
cool because they're anti-castling.
Yeah,
Yeah. They don't-
I think I would put 3 in every Necron list though.
yeah. I just like 90s Angors or conscripts or whatever it is. Like that's probably where you started. Like I need to be able to fit my Doomsday Arcs.
And I always want at least 1 brick of 20 warriors. Those are probably the 4 things that I start with. I also always play with the Deceiver,
Yes.
but
You're also one of the
Other
few
people
people
don't.
to win a tournament with Necrons this year.
I did win an RTT with Necrons, and it was
So-
a balanced Necron list.
And he
Yeah.
beat me to do it. It wasn't.
JP.
He earned every inch of that.
Yeah, no, it was not an easy walk.
That was actually the first.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was the first tournament that I won where I actually felt like I won because of my player skill.
Mhm.
Because the RTT I won before that, I won because I had a bunch of super heavies and I rolled well.
I feel like I won this RTT because of my playing skills. That fucking those guys were hard.
Well, who was hard? The people you played
The
against?
people who
Yeah,
showed
this
up
tournament
here.
was fucking hard.
Yeah, this was a possible top 8 for LVO. Like it's gonna be serious business, right? Next one.
Someone commented that it was the most stacked RTT ever,
Yeah, maybe.
possibly.
Yeah, I really want to do it with like 16 people and have them all be like in the top 30 or 40. I think that'd be awesome.
No, I don't need that in my life. I'm going home.
You're gonna get better.
The rest of us improved, Nick.
Yeah.
Actually, let's talk
I
about
improved
that.
for sure, 100%.
Yeah, how much did you get out of it
A
though?
lot.
Did you?
I learned from almost every. I'll beat up a seal and I'll learn something. Not the total seal where I'm actually just moving my models and they're picking up theirs. But anyone who's gonna make me like actually go through motions and think about stuff, I'll learn something from. I'll learn something from literally every game.
But even more so from what you went through.
Obviously, the harder the game, the
Yeah.
more I will learn. But I will learn something from every game.
John taught Nick some new stuff tonight.
Yeah, John and Alex both have.
Oh yeah, no,
sure.
for sure. But that last game was a.
And
barn
honestly,
burner.
so
It
like
was
my first
crazy.
game, I played against Zach, and he had knights, right? And I actually hadn't played knights with orcs before, and I had a whole mental map for how the game's going to go. And for the most part, the game followed that strategy. But I didn't expect him to pick up my orcs that fast, and that was math. That was average. He had 2 crusaders and a castle, and so it was more shooty than most knight lists. But he was picking up 30 orcs a turn, like on average. So that was eye-opening. It's like, wow, I do give up a kill a turn, which I wasn't planning on doing, because he does kill 30 guys in one turn. And then I first time, like, it's one thing to math a claw boss versus a knight, but I saw a claw boss versus a knight when I did it today, and I was like, it's a little more volatile than I'd like, but it is what it is. So, those are things I learned. That's like experience, and even though I won handily, I'm going to take that away with me, so next time I play a knight army, or even someone with a knight, I'm going to remember those takeaways.
Yeah. I'm playing a very different Inari list than I'm used to at this tournament. And having the Wraith Blades instead of the second Shining Spears is so different.
Yeah.
So every game, every turn, I'm learning stuff. Like, there's a ton of information to take in.
Yeah, if you're not taking things away from your games, then you're either not playing opponents who are at your skill level, or you are not critically analyzing what you're doing well enough. You need to really stop and look at, like, what can you do better. Because if you just feel like, I win all my games, then you're playing people who don't have a high enough, or who aren't on the same level as you skill wise. If you're losing all your games and you aren't learning anything, then you need to find someone who's willing to talk to you and help you figure out where your mental block is or where your hang up is so you can start picking up those takeaways from every game.
Yeah, one of the big things that helped me this season was talking to you on the podcast about every single game I played. And I know everybody doesn't have a podcast, but just find a friend that travels to tournaments with you. And on the way home in the car, just talk through every one of your games. But don't say, my dice were crap, because that's not useful and doesn't teach you
Never
anything.
blame dice.
Mm-mm.
Instead say, this is what I did wrong. This is what I need to do differently this time. This is what they did wrong. This is what they should have done differently.
Against John, in the game we just played, he had a whole plan for turn one, and halfway through his turn, his shooting phase did literally nothing. Like, he had shot 3 vultures and killed 12 orcs, and it was like I couldn't make up how bad he rolled.
That's 129 shots.
Yeah, he killed 12 freaking orcs. So then he had his whole plan to charge into me and double plate some Steelers and do some mid things, and he was like, this shit ain't gonna work. I killed 12 orcs. So he turned his ass around and hid in a box with Swarmlord, and that's a matter of two things. One, he's a flexible enough army where he can change his plan mid-turn. And then two, he recognized it, and instead of charging the Steelers in, fighting twice, not doing enough, and be like, man, if my vultures had rolled better, I would have been fine. Right. Which you don't even know is true. That was the plan he had. Instead, he was like, my vultures rolled shitty, I'm going to fix it now and adapt. And then we had a much better game. It was really good, and that's how you don't blame dice. John made a good call there by playing better through a bad dice roll.
Yeah, you play the game in front of you. The other thing I would say is you should always be asking your opponent. Obviously, if maybe not immediately, if it was a really intense game, that can happen. But you should be asking them, what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? And offer that back to them too, if they want it. If they're not interested in your feedback, don't give it. But ask. It'd be like, hey, what do you? Like, I remember when I was playing at BAO, I lost to Jeff Robinson. I'm like, what should I have done differently? He's like, you need to keep your Smash captains back. I have to come to you with Custodes, and I don't have an answer to your Castellan if I can't get to it. And so you should have used it as countercharge as opposed to being more aggressive. That solved all...
a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
A lot of great feedback.
Yeah, and
very concise, too, unsurprisingly. But
yeah, but like,
stuff.
that, I don't get to play Custodes enough. Like, how many practice games would it take me to have that click in my head? I just got a great piece of information. If someone beat you, they are at least somewhere relative to your skill level, if not better. So they're going to have valuable feedback, usually.
What's next?
Yeah.
So here, if you could make a change to 40k that wasn't a balance change, what would you make?
Fate Weaver! I like Fate Weaver. I want him to be good.
It's not a balance change, though. Non-balance changes.
Right, it's not really changing. Well, I guess. I just want to be better. I like him.
I mean, what changes can you make that aren't balanced? So we're not touching game mechanics. Are we talking social changes?
I think business, social changes.
Easy. Subscription service.
Yeah,
digital subscription.
For points.
For points and codexes and rules, everything digital subscription, you can have $20 a month. I don't care.
The General's Handbook for AOS has all of the points for everything in the game.
Yep.
In order to know what the points are for my Genestealer Cold Army, I need 4 books.
Yeah, I think that's the key for me.
That is ridiculously stupid.
My Chaos Army, at its worst, is like 7 books to bring to a tournament with me, and then the rule book on top of it. That's a little harsh for carrying around. It's a lot of that's bigger than my book bag in high school
And then chapter approved only has some of the points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's frustrating.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know. Like, if I was a TO, and let's say I had a 30-person tournament, and you wanted me to check all the lists, holy crap, is that a giant project?
So this happened to me at the Boise Cup. I was playing Michael Tempe, one of the people here who's helping us run streams.
Yeah.
He's been incredibly helpful. I met him at the Boise Cup. And it's round 4. I'm 3-0, and I come up to him, and he just comes in and says, "Hey, I think you're overpointed." And he was just looking at the Codex points, and that was a perfectly reasonable thing for him to do. And I showed him, like, no, Power Fists are now 9 points. They're not 12, or whatever it was. And we went through it, and everything was good. But then Aaron, Captain A, comes over, the TO, and is like, "Hey, your list is over points." And so I have to go over there, and they show me, and I'm like, no, and I have to bring over 4 different books to show them how my points are not wrong, and they weren't. But like, I had like that heart in the pit of your stomach, like, oh no, I brought an illegal list and I'm 3-0. Like I felt awful. Like and you know that.
But also keep in mind, you got 3 people who are really good at this game in a conversation right there.
Yeah.
And they can't easily solve this.
Well, 4th too, because Matt Johansson was helping run that tournament too.
Yeah.
So 4 people, and 3 of them had couldn't cite all those sources easily enough, and they were just checking the people who were undefeated.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on invuln saves and places to have them? For instance, they brought up as examples the Lehman Russ versus a Castellan.
Yeah.
I think invuln saves are way too easily accessible and way too strong right now. I like the concept of them. I think they should exist in the game. They're just way too all over the place. And the ones that are, like, Storm Shields shouldn't be on every freaking Space Marine for 2 points for 3 of invul. And that's just like, that's not a problem because it's a Space Marine body.
Yeah.
But like,
sadly, it doesn't make them good. But
like, there shouldn't be units that just have 3 of invuls walking around. Knight shouldn't have a 3 up invul. You should have to like try to get a 4 up invul on a knight. Because it completely invalidates things like las cannons and stuff.
Mitch and I have said this so many times. The Castellan's problem isn't a point problem. It wasn't even House Raven. What's the stratagem called? Complement of Heroes or something. It's not even that. The problem is that you have a giant thing with a 3-up invul.
Yeah,
that's the issue. That's the problem. And I completely agree with Nick. And the other side of that, the other version of this, is you've got AP on weapons. This is so crazy. Like, guard AP is like -1, -2, maybe -3.
Yeah, you're happy when you have -3.
And then elves, -3, -4. But guard vehicles have no invul, which is why I've got a pile of them that I don't play with.
Mm-hmm. Elves don't really have -3, -4. Elves are mostly -2 and then there's -3, -4.
Okay.
Well, but you also have
blasters. Disintegrators -3, right?
And disintegrators.
Strike elves with dark elves understand.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But they show up the second guard vehicle showed up, right? Like, it's that weird.
Yeah. We only talk about elves as a whole thing.
It's true.
Yeah, and then you have Haywire.
We don't run the mono codex.
Yeah.
We should.
Then you have Haywire, which just makes vehicles redundant at that point, even with
We're getting way outside.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's about invuls.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, invuls invalidate having a hype. Like, what the hell's the point of melting gun if it's not going to make you take some damage? And you're not going to take damage because you got a 3-up invul that you can reroll.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, completely.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're in agreement.
Here's another hard-hitting one for you. Do you think there's a way to use Centurions now that we have chapter-approved and Vigilance changes?
I still don't know what they do.
You might be able to with the new Crimson Fist stuff, with all the bolter shots. There could be some stuff, but aggressors do it better. Yeah, aggressors do it better. So here's the thing: Centurions are cool. I own some. They don't have enough shots to be anti-vehicle because of invos, which we just covered. They get outshot by aggressors, and aggressors have 2 Power Fist attacks. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. Is that like aggressors are one of the only Primaris models where I'm like, yes, like this is great. This is a cool unit. It's not broken. It's awesome for what it does.
I actually like intercessors a lot.
Oh no, those are good too. But right with Ludas and different things in the meta right now. It's just
Ludas don't want to waste your time shooting intercessors. Like intercessors in cover still. Shoot Ludas at me. You have to spend like 4 CP to kill 10 dudes, whatever.
But if that's what your model, if that's what your army is based off of,
you can't play like 60 intercessors and be like, I'm gonna go win LVO. But the intercessors are a decent.
Yeah, they do have they have a place, but like aggressors, 6 aggressors, Space Wolves are amazing. I can outflank them, so I don't have to worry about getting shot off the board before they do anything. I can make sure that I don't have any hit modifiers. They're all, and then I can buff them up to 5 attacks with re-rolling charges, so they actually do something in combat. Deathwatch aggressors are nuts with those +1 wounds stuff, but Centurions, it's
They're
hard.
funny looking.
Yeah, it's hard to find a place for them because the combat ones have no delivery mechanism. The shooty ones, again, just don't. There's other things that do it better.
No, we're done.
Because it's hard to sell anything other than 222 points of aggressors.
Do you guys think that the Necron vaults are still at all useful?
What?
Necron, the Tezzeret?
Not really, but if you want to go 4-2 and
No, it's
spoil
even more
a bunch of
expensive
people's
now.
days, you could.
No, but they went up in price.
I know.
Yeah, you can have 2 of them, I guess, now.
You can still run 3.
You can still do
You
three?
can run through, but now you don't have the deceiver with
Yeah,
them.
if you want to go 4-2 and
So
spoil a bunch of
even
people's
worse.
days, you can.
Yeah. Alright, where's Space Wolves at right now?
An ally for an Imperial army.
That's great. I think it's great.
Yeah. An ally.
I think it's a great ally.
I will say, as an orc player, the 6 blood claws with the Terminator in there and the couple of characters you
They're
get
actually
with better
really
attacks and stuff.
because that stupid Terminator guy.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
Like
Played
we
against
don't want that.
Yes,
So
that's like a unit designed to piss off an orc player.
can't charge it, can't shoot it, don't understand why is it coming at me.
Well, so I love blood claws. I think that with a points drop, they can actually be top tier. A 2 points drop, but where they are right now, they're a really cool unit. If you want to take a battalion, you can do some cool things. Outflanking blood claws can be fun, and because you can take them in such huge squads and buff them to 6 attacks. And then like with orcs, they just mop up orcs because you have a +1 to wound with the formation, so you'll wipe everything. But they don't have a delivery mechanism other than outflanking, which means a 9-inch rerollable charge, which is just not good enough right now. Space Wolves are great allies. It kind of brings me to my biggest frustration, which is bikes and cavalry suck. And that's what Space Wolves love, is cavalry and bikes.
And I'm assuming mostly you're talking about that. There's some points problems with that, but mostly that ruins block and get in the way and
It's
prevent
not
them from
even
moving around.
points. It's just that they can't interact with so many units and
Yeah.
buildings in the game.
There's too many ways to outplay them.
So, like, I was really hot on the Iron Priests on Thundercav, because for 101 points, you get a Thunder Hammer that hits on 3s. You get 3 Strength 5 AP1 attacks from the Thundercav. You have a 2-up armor save. You have 6 wounds in your T6 for 101 points for a character that you can then buff to have, like, 5 Thunderhammer attacks, and I think it's, like, 5 Thundercav attacks. They're super cheap, so on a Supreme Command detachment, there's a lot of options there. But I played one test game against Colin. I'm like, I can't ever use cavalry again until they change the rules.
I had three vultures.
Yeah,
They decided to hover on top of a building.
and I could interact.
Can you go over the full allotment of bonus attacks that you can get for your blood cloud groupings?
Sure. So you have Wolfen or the Wolfen Stone. So obviously, if you're using the reroll charge, you don't get the +1, but the Wolfen Stone gives it to you every time. Then you have the Warlord trait for the Wolfen Warlord trait. Once that goes off, and then you have the new Warlord trait from the formation, which is another aura. So you on the charge, you will have 6.
Guys, I think maybe another, what do you think, 15, 20 minutes of questions and call it good?
Yeah,
I am good right now.
I've lined up a couple more to kind of finish off with, and then we'll be good there.
Yeah.
Um,
Guys, we're really tired, and just to update everybody, this stream is going to go dark for a few hours. We didn't have enough players tonight. Some people got sick, which you can't really do
Who got
anything
sick?
about. What?
Who got sick?
Oh, people that were supposed to be here got sick on Friday.
Cancellations.
Okay.
So we have a couple people that didn't end up being here. So this stream is going to go dark from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Actually, from the time we stop this till 6 a.m. Pacific. Then this will pick up and play games again. The main stream, Biff Pod, is going to have games going the whole night.
So 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Pretty big ones.
How many
Would
views
you-
do we have? Sorry.
Hmm?
How many viewers do we have?
Right now, we got 70 people in chat.
Great.
That's actually
Cool, yeah.
pretty
It's better
high
than
for
we've
this
done all day.
second stream, so
On
it's
the
pretty
second
good.
stream.
Yeah.
When you guys play a game with somebody who's at a lower skill level, and you still want to try to learn from, do you give yourselves handicaps or anything like that?
I'll do more experimental stuff. I don't like taking handicaps because it's kind of insulting to the other player.
So you look more like high risk maneuvers, things you haven't learned before.
High risk maneuvers, or just like try something experimental, something I wouldn't do, but like maybe I want to learn to see what the result is. That's for like I'm not gonna try that in a tournament, but maybe I'll learn some information that way. Or like I don't use everything I can. Like I won't take my pile-ins as optimally as I possibly could, or I won't necessarily use every stratagem I could to just step on his throat and keep my foot there, just to like see how the game plays out without that stuff, and just try to get what I can out of it.
I try to try different lists. I try to try stuff that I don't know if it'll work, or stuff that I know isn't quite as good.
I'll definitely try different lists too. Sorry.
Yeah, because if you play a list that you know isn't top tier, right, and they have a better list than you, then you have to play up, right?
Yeah.
That's not a handicap. That's just you're playing a different list.
But it's sort of similar. It's experimenting, right? It's the same theme, just different stage.
I make sure I try to. So if I'm gonna go into a game like that, even in a tournament game, I will try and help my opponent as much as possible. I'll make sure they don't forget rules. I'll make sure that like I was playing Denny in I believe it was Harvester or Storm. I can't remember which, but and he charged it was Storm. He charged his Smash Captain into my Hellhounds. And I killed it in Overwatch. I'm like, okay, you shouldn't have done that. Here's what we're gonna do. You have scouts at a wall, like right here. Charge here first, and then charge in.
Try to show them and teach them.
Yeah,
which helps you grow a lot. I think teaching is one of the things that a lot of people miss as far as ways to improve.
And it's good sportsmanship. It's really helpful. It's but like there's nothing wrong with making sure your opponent has a good game and actually does that stuff. So
I agree.
We can still see you.
No, you can't.
Sneaky Canadian.
Sneaky Canadians. All right, last one. You got to put $50 on the line. What list are you gonna bet on to win LVO?
Fine.
I'm gonna bet on Nick just because it's the odds.
Not person. What list?
Well, right, I'll bet on Nick's list.
All right. Well, I think to me that's the answer I wanted to give. Stop betting on lists.
Yeah.
If you look at tournament results, it's not the same list winning every time. It's the same people winning every time. Skill is more important. Now they're going to pick from a set of lists that are good, but it's the skill of the player that's actually going to make the determination at the end of the day. That said, it's going to be Orcs. Because, I'm going first.
That's good first. What do you think, Mitch?
I mean, I think that Orcs take LVO, most likely.
I actually don't think Orcs is the strongest starting in the game. I just think I'm broken.
No, I think that Orcs are also.
Good for you.
Orcs are writing the new codex. Lots of people don't know what they do.
Yeah, no. I think, like, it could be Orcs, it could be Imperium, it could be Eldar.
Mm-hmm.
Those three are the top three. It could be Nids, but that's, like, less good people play Nids. There are good people play Nids, but there's fewer of them than play Eldar, Yunari, or Imperial.
If I was gonna bet on a person that wasn't Nick, because I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I would probably put my money on Brandon Grant.
Yeah.
Imperium has all the answers they need to win right now.
He's also the kind of person to really
buffed.
figure that out.
They were already good, and they got so many more tools.
Like I am still like trying to process and figure out what is the best in Imperium now. Without taking a Castellan, because I don't think that is the answer anymore. I think it's an easy answer for a lot of lists, but it's that extra 10% that you have a problem. But I would put money on Brandon Grant, or there's a lot of really good players out there that it's so people discount how much tournaments are, like the matchups you land, You get the wrong matchup on the wrong table, and the wrong deployment, and that's all it takes sometimes. That doesn't mean that you don't have a close game and that you maybe are able to pull it out. But but if the dice don't go, if that one dice roll.
If I play that same game with John that was super close, and we get Dawn of War instead of Vanguard, and then he goes first, I might lose that game just because it completely changes how I can deploy. I can't really counter deploy him because it's Dawn of War's.
Yeah, the only reason I had a chance against Colin, was because we were playing Dawn of War. Like the deployment gave me a shot. So
It was also nice of me to forget to shoot my shadow.
oh,
shooters.
very much so. No, you're too kind.
Yeah.
But like, there's so many different factors that go in that the people who are placing up high, it's in spite of those factors, right? So they know they're figuring out ways to mitigate them as much as possible.
Is there anything else we want to say before we check out?
Yeah,
Get
we
some
just got
rest?
another $100. Like just now.
Much appreciated.
I have 4 things to raffle off tomorrow while people are playing.
I also have a Lehman Russ to talk
Sign
about.
up for Knights
a new
Pro.
Lehman Russ.
You have Lehman Russ as well?
Yep.
That's my coaching
Unopened?
service.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's been
Help
the
you
plastic
get
has been
there.
removed, but it's new on spring.
Okay. So I'm going to put that on the list then. Okay, tomorrow we're going to give away a Lehman Russ.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give away a box of Intercessors. We're going to give away a $150 box of paints from Army Painter. Which is kind of nuts.
That's awesome.
We're going to give away Nick making you a list and getting on the phone with you and telling you what to do with that list.
One of my services from Knights Pro.
I think
We
both
already
Colin and I can
Matt
attest to that.
Ruben got given away already.
Yeah.
What?
The list service is really great. I appreciate that call.
Yeah, well,
And then Stephanie's going to buy you a model of $40 or less and paint it for you and send it to you.
you sound
So-
like you're going to die.
I was thinking
You're
about.
like,
I'm
Yeah.
really tired.
I can tell.
So we're going to raffle all the things off tomorrow. How do you get those? How do you get raffle tickets? You got to donate at least $30. Every $30 you donate gets you a raffle ticket. We're at about $5,200 right now. It'd be really great to end tomorrow at $6,000.
That would be awesome.
That'd be really fantastic.
That would double our goal.
What's that?
That would double our goal.
Yeah. I think, and then we're going to put all this up on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch all this content whenever you'd like.
Yeah.
If you want to hear Nick talk about a dude trying to take advantage of him at 14 years old, you can hear about that again on the YouTube.
Immortalized forever.
That's right.
So remember, kids, don't get raped.
All right,
This
so-
tournament.
This is going to go dark. Upstairs right now, Jim Vassell is playing Sean Morgan. And they're playing. And then after that, Sean's going to play Zach. And then this stream will come back with John versus Michael. And Mark versus Jim on the other stream. So we got a bunch more games still going. We're going till 6 o'clock, which is like another however many things this is. 7? I don't know. All right,
Counting
I'm tired. You guys are tired as well.
I'm going to bed. Good night, friends.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Potty time, bedtime, dunzo.